Welcome to the virtual motion tutorial, aka the Fortnite style motion tutorial, where you will learn how to make videos like these. Not gonna waste any more time, so let's get to it. So to start your animation, you're gonna want something to animate with. So in this case, I have a regular chair, and I want to animate this chair tipping over and falling on the floor like that. So let's get started. Now you're gonna want some devices to make this animation possible. And those devices are going to be the fixed point camera device and the HUD controller device. Now once you have these devices, you're going to want to customize them. You don't need to change the camera, but change the HUD controller and set show HUD to no, and you're all done. The reason we want these devices is because we're going to be taking screenshots of this chair, and I don't want to see my character in the frame. I don't want to see my UI, my HUD in the frame. So I'm just going to make my camera face the chair, and this is just going to make it so I don't see my character. And then the HUD controller is going to make it so my UI is invisible, but my HUD is still there. So to make it invisible, I'm going to have to start the game. And now my game started, and now I can take a screenshot. But because we're going to be taking so many screenshots of this picture, to make it faster, go to your island settings, scroll down to debug, turn debug mode on, and turn fast iteration mode on at the bottom. This is going to make it so when you start the game, there's no countdown timer. It's also going to make it so you're in the same position that you were before the game started, so you don't spawn in the sky or spawn on any spawn pads. You can just get right back to animating. So obviously just position your camera in the right spot and then start the game. And then now we have to take a screenshot of our frames. So there's different ways to take a screenshot on every device, but I'm on PS5, so I'm just going to press my capture button and then press take screenshot. On Xbox it's basically the same. You just press your menu button and then press take screenshot. But on PC it's a little different. You have to press like 3 keys at once, and then you can drag your thing across the screen to take a screenshot. But now that I have my picture, I'm just going to end the game, and I'm going to move whatever I'm animating. Like I said, I have a chair. I'm going to move it. Just going to like move it tipping over, so on its side a little bit. And then I'm going to start the game again. I'm going to take another screenshot. So now you just repeat this process of moving your thing, starting the game, ending the game, then moving it again, and keep taking screenshots. And if you put all those screenshots together and turn it into a video, then it will look like the chair is tipping over, and that's how stop motion works. And that's why I call this stop motions in Fortnite Creative, because that's basically what it is. Now I'm on PS app on my phone because I have to save the pictures to my device so I can import them into an editing app. And the pictures I took on PS5 transfer over to PS app. So I'm going to go to the game library tab, captures, and here you can see my pictures. So now I can save the pictures of my chair if I press the download button in the bottom right corner, and I can scroll through, just swipe right. I can just keep downloading my pictures. So I just repeat this process, swipe and download. This same thing exists for Xbox, by the way. There's an Xbox app where you can save the captures to your phone. So if you're on Xbox, then you can do this too. I'm not sure how it is on Nintendo Switch, and on PC it just gets saved straight to your PC. So now that I have all my pictures saved, I need to turn them into a video so I can have an animation to watch. And to turn them into a video, I need an editing app. For me, I use Stop Motion Studio Pro. It's basically a stop motion app, and the Pro version allows you to add images. So as you can see, I can just add my chair images, and I can just automatically turn it into a stop motion. I can adjust the frame rate and stuff, and I can play it, and it's like an actual stop motion now. But Stop Motion Studio Pro costs money, so I'm going to show you a method on how to do this with a free app. So I'm going to choose CapCut for this, so I can just open CapCut, and then I'll press new project, and then just add my chair images. So once I've added them, it's 15 seconds long, and it's like really slow. Each one is 3 seconds. So instead of just manually adjusting the time of each individual picture like this, and just going along and making them faster, instead I can just press export up here, and then once it's done exporting, I can just go into a new project, and I'll add my chair video, and I can just press on it and then speed up the video to like 0.4 seconds long, and now it's like an actual fast animation. So now I'm gonna show you how to add sound effects to your animation. So I have this old animation that I'm gonna use as an example. It's just Thor smashing his hammer on the ground, and so I need to add sound effects that match up with the animation. So you can see there's lightning when he smashes it, so I'm gonna need to add lightning sound effects. So I'm gonna go here to sound effects and then search up lightning strike, and then I'm just gonna find one. So I found a good one that I can use, so I dragged it in. And I'm gonna cut the sound effect down to the part that I only need, which is that part. And then I can cut that part off and then fade it out. And now I can drag this and match it up with the animation frame by frame. So I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna play it back. So now when he smashes his hammer, there's a lightning sound. And now I want to add just a normal like smash sound effect. So I'm gonna go to extract, and now I'm in my sound effects library, and I'm gonna import this one that I have right here. And I got that sound effect from Celestial SFX, which is my other channel where I have a bunch of sound effects that you can use. I'm just gonna drag this to the part that I need and then cut it right there. And then again, I'm gonna fade it out. And I'm gonna line it up right there. And I'm gonna raise the volume a bit. And now when I play it back, it sounds really good. It matches up with the animation. Now I could add like voice acting, like dialogue to this with like grunts when he smashes his hammer down. So I'm gonna record one. I'm just gonna record like a normal grunt. That was pretty cringe, but I gotta do what I gotta do. And once again, I just dragged it to the part that I need and then line it up. So I added it and now I'm gonna play it back. And it is really good now. So you can do the same exact thing with your own animations, and that is obviously how I do the sound design for my videos. And if you're on PC, it's the same exact process, it's just a little different. You just find your sound effects, import them, and I do want to show you some extra things you can do for your virtual motions. So let's get back on Fortnite. So now I actually have our animation, but if you want to animate a character like I do on my own channel, then you're gonna have to create a custom character. And if I go over here, you can see I created my channel profile picture. This is just me, and I actually just used a bunch of primitive shapes. So if you go to galleries, as a shortcut for finding the primitive shapes, I just use the customizable filter and then go over here to primitive shapes. And then I actually use this cylinder piece right here for just the body, the limbs, and everything. So I'm gonna rotate it like that, and then I'm gonna grab a circle piece. If I scroll down, there is a circle right here. And now I can start creating my own character. This is just gonna be like a simple character. It's not really like advanced. If you want to create like a more complex character, you don't have to use like a circle for the head. You can actually like sculpt a custom head or something. You can like, you know, sculpt a body or something. But I'm just gonna use one cylinder for the body because it's the simplest way. I can just resize these pieces and stuff. So now I have the head and the body. Now to create the limbs, I just copy the body and I just rotate it a little bit. I'm just gonna shrink it down and increase the depth so it's actually long. Now I have it in the right position, so I'm just gonna copy it again, bring it down here, and line it up. I made the character gray so it's easier to see on this white background. I just line it up, and that's the arm, and I just multi-select the arm and then copy it over here, just rotate it, and I have two arms. And then I just copy one piece of the arm, reset its rotation, and then do this so it's back to normal. I just put it down here, and then I copy it, and then I'm gonna put drops on so I can just do that and it's easier. I'm gonna turn it back off, and I'm just gonna copy it, multi-select it to the other side, and now I have a really simple character that you can animate with in like pose like this. So obviously you can just move his arm like that, and you know, you can make him wave if you just move his arm up. You get what I mean? So if you want to like animate this character, it's the same process as what I just showed you with the chair, except it's more complex. Instead of just moving one prop, you're moving a bunch of props together and making them line up. And I just brought my character over here, and I'm gonna line him up with the camera. By the way, with the camera you can change the field of view. You can make it like really zoomed in like this, or you can make it just really zoomed out if you want. I like to keep it between 80 and 90. I think the 90 looks good. And I'm just gonna do the same process. I'm just gonna start the game and take a bunch of pictures. So I'm gonna multi-select his arm, then rotate it on the roll axis and move it up and make sure it's lined up with his shoulder. Then I'm gonna rotate the bottom part of his arm like that and start the game again. Now one thing to know when doing this is, if you can see there, like the moment I start the game, there's like 1 second where everything is really low quality. So I just have to like wait like 2 seconds or something before I can take a picture and end the game, because if I take a picture immediately, it will just be like, it won't be rendered in properly. Now I'm gonna move the bottom part of his arm again, make it go out like that, just make it extend out. Now, if you're doing something similar to this, where he's like waving, you know, he's moving his arm back and forth. If you have your character doing something where it's just like the same animation over and over again, then instead of just taking pictures, moving his arm back and forth, take a picture, take a picture, take a picture, you can just take 2 pictures of his arm moving back and forth, and then copy those pictures in your editing app and just paste them and paste them and paste them, and it'll just be the same exact thing where he's moving his arm back and forth, and it just saves a lot of time. Now, virtual motions 3 years ago, it was like very choppy. It was like 1 frame every 5 seconds, and now today it's like high FPS, you know, like 5 frames a second instead of 1 frame every 5 seconds. So there are different styles of doing this. So if you don't have a lot of time, then you can make an animation choppy if you don't care about the visuals and you just care about telling a story. But if you do care about the visuals and you want it to look cool, then you can just do a fast animation, but it will take a lot of time. It will take a lot longer than the choppy animation. Like some 15-second action scenes in virtual motion take like 2 hours to do, but a choppy animation like this only takes like a few minutes. So I think it's pretty obvious how you do a choppy animation and how to do fast animation, but just in case, so a choppy animation would be if he's waving, his arm goes from the resting position to just straight up immediately. Now I take a picture and then I move this, I rotate his arm and he's waving, and then I take another picture, and that's just it. Like that's the whole animation. But a fast animation would be it goes from the resting position up into this position, then I take a picture, and then I change it again, bend his arm a little bit, and then I take another picture, and then I move his arm again, and then I bend his arm again, move it up like that, and I take another picture, and then finally I move his arm one last time, bend his arm this way, and I take another picture, and then I do that. That's my final picture, and then I loop the animation, and that would be fast animation. Now I'm going to show you a couple basic positions that you can put your character in. So the first position I'm going to put him in is just like him running. So I'm just going to multi-select his entire body, and then I'm going to rotate him leaning forwards a little bit, and then now I'm going to move his right hand leg forward like this. I'm just going to rotate it like that, and then I can bend his lower leg like this, and then I can come to the other side, the other leg, and then rotate it back like that, and then bend the lower part so it's up like this. And maybe I can come back to the front leg and just bend it a little bit to make it look more natural. And now for the arms, I'm going to move this arm back because the leg on this side is forward. So the arm on this side is going to be the opposite direction. So if this leg was going backwards, then this arm would be going forwards. But since this leg is going forwards, the arm is going to go backwards. Now I'm going to rotate his arm like that and then bend his lower arm. So I rotated his arm going backwards, and then I bent his lower arm going forwards a little bit. Now I could tweak this, just make it look a little more natural. Then I'm going to do the same for this arm. So since this leg is going back, this arm is going to go forwards. So I'm going to rotate it forwards like that, and then bend this lower part of the arm, like bend it up. And now it looks like he's running. I could tweak this to make it look better, but this is just a basic running pose. Now the second pose is going to be like a punching pose if you're doing like some sort of action scene. So I'm going to copy the upper part of his body. I'm going to rotate it depending on which arm he's punching with. So in this case, I want him to be punching with his left hand arm. So I'm going to rotate his body this way. So now I have his body rotated, and I'm just going to move the arm that he's not punching with. I'm just going to move it forwards like that. When you punch someone, you're going to be trying to guard your face with your hand because obviously you don't want to get hit in the face. So I'm going to make it so he's just blocking his face with his arm. Now to make it a little better, I'm actually going to copy the upper part of his body again and then make it lean forwards a little bit. Maybe I can move his head down a little bit. So now I have his arm blocking his face, and now with the arm he's punching with, I'm going to copy it and then rotate it forwards. I always make sure that this upper part is on his shoulder, as you can see, so it's connected. Then I'm going to bend the lower part of his arm upwards like this. Maybe I can move his feet a little. I'm going to copy this leg and move it backwards. And I'm going to copy this leg and move it forwards. So it depends depending on which arm he's punching with, it's going to make it so his right leg is either forward or his right leg is backwards and his left leg is forwards or his left leg is backwards. So I just bent the lower part of his legs a little bit to make it more natural. So I have the arm not punching, but it's about to be in a punch. So right now I'd be taking a picture, and then I come back and rotate this up more, and I'm actually going to copy this and rotate it that way, as you can see. So I'm going to rotate it inwards, and I can copy this and make sure this is like extending outwards, so it's like not directly onto his shoulder, but like more out of his shoulder, so it's like he's extending his arm out. And I'm actually going to rotate this so it's straight ahead, and I'm going to grab this part of the arm and do the same. Actually, to make this faster, I would just delete this part and just copy this arm and bring it over here, because this arm is already straight. So I'm just going to copy it, and then here it is. And I'm going to tweak it a little bit, make this go more inwards, and his body's not moving right now, so I'm going to make his body move. So I'm going to rotate it a little more like that, and then I'm going to make him lean forward a little more as well, and tweak his arm again, make it go up. Now he's punching someone, so that looks pretty good. And those are some basic poses you can do for your characters. So this is just a basic virtual motion tutorial. I'm not teaching you the 12 principles of animation. If you know the principles of animation, then you can make your virtual motions better, but if you don't, then you should probably learn those. So like, for example, if your punching looks bad even though you have a good pose, that's probably because you don't have anticipation, which is just basically, in real life, when you punch, you don't just move your arm up and then punch. You have to like move your hand back and then you punch. So anticipation would just be he moves his arm back before punching like this. If I just rotate his arm back like this, then I bend the lower part forwards, looks like he's moving his arm back, getting ready for a punch, as you can see. And then another principle of animation is follow through. So when he actually punches, he doesn't just stop immediately, because that just wouldn't look fluid. Follow through basically means when he punches, his arm will continue to move forwards for just like a couple frames, and then you would pull his arm back and stop, because when you punch, the momentum will carry your arm forwards, and that will apply to animation as well. And this isn't a Fortnite creative tutorial, but I just want to show you some effects real quick in the VFX creator that you can use to make your animations look better. So the first one I'm going to be making is just dust particles. So you could use this if your character is interacting with the ground in some way, like if he's interacting with sand, then dust will like kind of fly up. So to make dust, I use sprite shape smoke 1, and then sprite size. I think that's probably fine. Sprite duration, just make this the maximum. Then sprite rotation alignment will just be random. The color depends on what type of dust it is. In this case, I want like dirt, so I'm gonna make it this color. Turn the brightness down maybe. And the sprite speed will be 0. The effect gravity will be 0, and the randomness maybe like 10 or 5 or something. Keep size, yes. Spawn mode continuous. Effect generation amount maybe like 30 to 50 is good, I guess. Time between loops will be 0. Then spawn zone shape will probably be 0.4 maybe on sphere. Now just press OK, and then you have like a whole like dust cloud. I'm gonna tweak a little bit, it looks kind of bad, so I'm gonna turn the brightness up, and then I'm gonna go down here and make the spawn zone size a little smaller, 0.2, and then just wait for it to load. And then now it's starting to look like dust. I might change it to smoke 2 actually, and then I'm gonna change the effect generation amount to like 22, and then now that actually looks like dust. So I can just like put this under the ground or something, and then you can see it's just there's dust flying up. And a good thing about starting the game is you won't see this device, you won't see the purple device when you start the game. Now the next effect will be like fire, if there's like a flame or something. So I'm gonna go down and choose smoke 3. Then the sprite size, I'm just gonna leave that normal. Sprite duration will be 5, I guess. Sprite rotation alignment will be random. Then main color will be the color right beneath red, so it's like an orange. Then I'm gonna turn the brightness up. Then the secondary color, I'm gonna make this black. And then the sprite speed, I'm just gonna make this kind of low, 15%. Effect gravity will be 0, and randomness will be like 5. Keep size, I'm gonna set that to no, and size over time will be 75%. Effect generation amount, I'm gonna make this like kind of low. And then time between loops 0, and then spawn zone shape will be 0. And then I'm gonna press OK. Now I have something that kind of looks like fire. I'm gonna change the sprite duration to 1 second or 0.8 seconds. And now we have like a little flame, as you can see. And the next effect will be like like a shockwave. So I'm gonna choose shockwave 1. Bright size will probably be like something high, like 2. Bright duration will be 5. Bright rotation alignment will be planar. Main color, just leave it white. I'm gonna set the sprite speed to 0, effect gravity to 0, and randomness to 0. Keep size, set that to no, and set it to like 300%. Effect generation amount, I'm gonna want this to be really low, so something like 3 or 4%. Time between loops 0 as always, and then bond zone shape will be point. And press OK, and now I have like a shockwave. As you can see, it expands out. And to make this look better, I'm gonna set size over time to like 400, and then effect generation amount to like something even lower, like 2%. And now it looks better. So these are some basic effects you can use for your animation. And that concludes the virtual motion tutorial, and I hope this video was helpful to anyone who wanted to know how to make these kind of videos. And that's all I have to say, so toodalooties.